Would I hire you as my plumber? Hey, it's Chase with TopDog Digital. In this series, I'm going to be picking a random industry in a random city, and I'm going to review that business as if I was a customer looking to solve some sort of problem and I need to find someone to fix it. Today's industry is plumbing. Now, I'm looking for someone to fix that issue before my house is completely flooded. Now, let's pick a city. Let's go with Powder Springs, Georgia. I'm over on Google. Plumbers, Powder Springs, Georgia. And I'm going to pick someone. Let's start with this right here. Let's look at more businesses. And scroll. The one that I'm going to pick today is called Plum Patrol. Looks like they've been in business for 10 years. Let's go here to their website. Here's the standard that I'm going to be using every time in this series. First impression, website, reviews, trust signals, clarity. Those 5 things. Because that's actually how customers shop. They actually don't care about how good you think that you are. What they care about is if they can quickly find someone who's trustworthy that can solve their issue. So, would I hire Plum Patrol in Powder Springs, Georgia? Let's find out. So, first impressions, I just pulled up their website. I like the name. I think that it's catchy. I think that it's memorable. I think it's something that I really like alliteration. It's simple. It's clear. It sounds like a real home services brand. So we're off to a good start. So when I'm looking at this as if I'm a customer, I'm asking a couple questions to myself. Are they real? Do they look active? Do they look like someone I could trust to come into my home? Because if you think about it, plumbing is not a low-risk service. If you need a plumber, it's probably because something's broken, something's leaking, something's clogged, and usually that means it's about to get expensive as well. So that first impression has to build confidence right away. Thumbs up. Plum Patrol looks real. It doesn't look sketchy. All right, so the second thing I'm going to look at is reviews. Let's go here, click on their Google business profile. So what I see here are 4.5 stars with 15 reviews. I'm not just looking at their star rating. That's not the most important thing, obviously. But some questions that I'm asking myself are the reviews recent? Are the reviews real? Are they specific? Do they name real jobs that they've done? And then the most important question that you're going to ask, does this reduce the risk for me as the customer? So for a plumber, I'm going to be looking for reviews that say things like they showed up on time, they fixed the leak, they cleaned up after themselves, they were honest about their pricing, there's no hidden fees, they weren't trying to upsell me into something that I didn't need. So Plum Patrol does have some positive review signals that I think are good, but let's take a look. So this one right here, Adam Higginbottom. I had a fantastic experience working with Kevin. So he named the plumber by name. For our plumbing needs. He was prompt, professional, and incredibly knowledgeable. He quickly diagnosed the issue and had it fixed in no time. The quality of his work was top-notch, and he made sure everything was clean and functioning perfectly before leaving. I highly recommend Kevin for anyone in need of a reliable and skilled plumber. So usually customers look at the highest rated reviews, but then what do we all do? They look at the lowest rated reviews. So let's see. This one from Becca Bonani says, I was given a quote for $1,200. After almost 2 weeks of calling and texting and trying to get the work started, he decided to text back and double the quote. Another company is doing the work for only $800. Okay, but this was 4 years ago, so I will take that into account. And the plumber responded, said, this was a misunderstanding in our conversation. While speaking with the husband, we had discussed several pricing options using different scopes of work and materials. When I get the written quote to them 2 weeks later because I was out sick with COVID. All right, understood there. This one was a year ago. I left 2 messages, no response. That's a red flag for accountability. So that one, they didn't actually get a service done at all. But this is a terrible trait that a lot of companies have where they're not responsive. And so you just lose business based upon that. So a couple of things that they could do is go in and actually respond to these negative reviews. It's important so that when people like me are looking for a plumber in the area and I'm checking out the reviews, that they respond to it. If it is something that they clearly weren't responsible for, it's okay to write back and kind of clarify. You're not clarifying just to the customer, you're clarifying for anyone who reads that review. So I'd grade this one as like a minus or a B for the reviews that they have. There's not a whole lot to look at there, but they do have something, mostly positive experiences, a couple negative. That's going to happen in any home services business. So let's look at the next. So let's move on to the next section, the website. So let's go into their website. This is where a lot of local businesses lose their customer. So they look at the reviews, and the next step is they're going to check out the website to see if everything looks reputable, looks good, or has the answers to questions that they might have before they pick up the phone to call. So first of all, the website says meeting all of your plumbing needs. I'd say it's a little bit generic. I'm not a huge fan of the way that it looks. It does look like it came out of the mid 2000s and hasn't been updated at all as far as the aesthetic of the thing, but I'm kind of a design snob myself. But if I'm a homeowner with a busted pipe and a clogged toilet, something like that, I'm not looking for vague or ambiguous language. I'm looking for something that speaks directly to me for my problem. So a couple of questions that these homeowners are going to be asking are, can they fix my problem? Do they serve my area? Can I call you right now? Why should I trust you at all? Your website needs to answer those questions. So the website does list services like remodeling jobs, general plumbing repairs. Let's take a look. Let's just click general plumbing. Yeah, I mean, it does sort of answer the question of do they, but if I have a specific issue, I don't see much detail there. And quite frankly, they're not helping themselves by answering questions of people who might be coming to check out their website for hiring them for their service. So right now, the website feels a little bit thin. It tells me what they do, but it doesn't sell me hard enough on why I should choose them over their competitors. Most of the time, local businesses have a website that looks kind of like a digital brochure, but that's not exactly what customers are looking for. They're looking for a reason to trust you. Do you answer the problem? And can they call you? Something else on their site that I would say is they need more call to action places. So they should have a couple places for me to click and call them right away. You know, there's some go to reviews. Okay. There's a form down here at the bottom. It does kind of blend in. If you're just going fast, you may not notice it. But when it comes to hiring a plumber, any sort of friction is going to make you lose your customer. You need to have it set to where they can find that contact button, that contact form, the call button, basically right away. This matters because a user experience on a website, while customers don't know exactly what that means, but if it feels clunky, if it feels confusing to find what they're looking for, you're just going to lose them. They're going to go somewhere else. All right, and number 4, trust signals. I need proof that they are a trustworthy professional that can do exactly what they say they can do. And this is another area where Plum Patrol could be a little bit stronger. I want to see more real photos. If you look on their website, I see what looks like some real photos, some stock imagery, not really anything about their team. Let's look at the blog. Yeah, not a whole lot going for them there as far as trust signals with photos of the work that they've done or the team. I don't feel like I actually know who they are at all. You know, show me the uniforms, show me the trucks, show me before and after, show me something that proves that you're a real company that I can trust. I would also like to see more trust signals such as clear pricing, how they do. So I would like to see more about clear pricing, things like warranties, licensing, insurance. All those things are super important for a homeowner who's hiring someone to come into their home. They say things like transparent pricing, but what does that mean? You need to be more specific. So do you charge upfront fees? Do you charge dispatch fees? Be specific about those things. So you don't want to just say fair pricing, you want to actually show them how it works. Now, here's one big issue that I see. It says 24/7 emergency plumbing services. However, if you look on their Google business profile, it says 8 to 5, closed Saturday and Sunday. It's a little bit confusing. So for them, I would make sure to clarify what their hours are, and that the emergency plumbing services, what that actually, see, it says when you face a plumbing crisis will be there promptly. But what qualifies as a plumbing crisis? You need to be very specific so that people aren't calling you for random services in the middle of the night. But yeah, and if you notice down here on the bottom, it says Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. See, that's confusing. So you need to be very clear about what exactly your hours are, when they can contact you, and for what services that they can contact you for. If it's an emergency service, what constitutes an emergency service? You have to remember that a confused buyer is a non-buyer. If I'm a customer, I may leave this website and just find someone that's a little bit more clear on their operating hours. And number 5, the last thing that I'm going to be looking at is clarity. Do I know exactly what you do? Do I know exactly where you do it? Do I know exactly what to do next? Do I know why that I should choose you? They do a decent job. If you look at their website, they do a decent job of explaining their service areas. They have Kennesaw, Georgia, Marietta, and Powder Springs. If I go back here to their Google business profile, it's not super clear what these service areas are. But the website, it gives enough information for me to at least know whether or not I'm in these locations. But it doesn't list anything about any sort of suburbs or small communities or neighborhoods in those places. So you may lose some opportunities if you don't get more specific. I think something that is missing is definitely a lack of clarity on their offer. So if you look back at their homepage, what the homepage should immediately tell me is that we are a plumbing company that serves these certain areas, that we handle these sort of repairs, such as water lines, leaks, clogs, installations, emergency plumbing services. Then it should go into why should the homeowner choose us? And finally, how do they contact us? And so this should be obvious within the first couple of seconds that you get onto a website. Right now, you kind of have to piece it together. And you have to remember that customers don't reward confusion, they reward clarity. And so now, getting to the final verdict, would I hire Plum Patrol? And my answer is, maybe. I wouldn't immediately rule them out. They do have a memorable name. They have a real website and contact information. They have their services listed. They do have some service areas listed so I can see if they work where I live. So there's definitely a foundation there to work with. The biggest issues that I find is that the messaging is just too generic. The website feels a little bit thin, doesn't have enough information for me. If I have some questions that are left unanswered, probably will look elsewhere. The reviews that they do have, while they don't have many, they aren't prominently listed on their website. The trust signals definitely could be stronger. They need some real photos of their team in their uniform, their trucks, some before and after, things from their actual job sites that they've been to. And then finally, the calls to action could definitely be cleaner, because when I get to a website and I don't see immediately what to do or why I should call you or where to click to actually call you, it's probably a no-go for me. First of all, I want to say that it's not a bad business presence. They have some real things that I can work with and that some customers won't really care about, and they will hire this company. But it's definitely not strong enough if they want to win customers that find them on Google. You have to remember, in home services, being good at the job is not enough to actually win your customers over. People that find you on a Google search that don't know anything about you, they're looking at certain things that are going to signal to them that you are the right one to hire. So what your online presence should do is that it should prove to your customer that you are the one before they ever decide to call you. And right now, Plum Patrol, They have good bones, but they have some things that they could work on. And so with that, if you're a home services company, judge your own business as if you were a customer looking for the service. Don't judge it as if you are the owner of the business. Ask yourself these questions. Would I trust this company? Do I understand what they do? Do I know where they serve? Would I feel safe calling them? Would I pick them over the next company on the Google search results? At the end of the day, if you don't fix these things, this is just revenue walking out the door. This is Chase with TopDog Digital, and we'll see you next time in this series, Would I Hire You?